Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, the 6th of April. It's cold, wet, and rainy. Is it cold? Well, it's overcast and rainy in Nashville. But I don't think it's cold, though. I should know because I just finished running. No, it was warm. It was warm. So anyway, I wonder what the weather's like where you actually, we did this on a Zoom yesterday, and I realized I've never done it on the show, and I thought it was pretty interesting. So why don't you tell me in the chat where you're watching from? I've never asked that before, and I guess I've always assumed that I knew, but maybe I don't know. So as you're joining in, drop in the chat where you're watching from. So I'm currently in Nashville, Tennessee. It's cold. No, it's warm, overcast, and rainy today. Anyway, this is the 6th day of April. This is the 68th episode of season 3 of the Be Your Own Hero show. Hero is an acronym. Do I have a hero? Yep. I have my hero hoodie on. Hero is an acronym. It means helping everyone reaps optimism. In other words, helping others helps you. It's a reciprocal action. And I'm your host. I'm Sekouwrites. I am an author, journalist, jewelry maker, professional creative. I call myself to kind of encapsulate all those many different things that I do. And I'm also the creator of the Hero Ministry movement. And that's my effort to uplift and inspire people now, and specifically the unhoused community. So shout out to New Thought Media Network for allowing me this platform to talk about my journey of becoming my own financial hero. And I hesitated there because that's what this show has become about. It's become a show about financial literacy and me becoming my own financial hero, and hopefully you becoming your own financial hero too. If this show provides any value, please like, please comment. Most of all, please share. And quick disclaimer, I am not a personal trainer, nor am I a financial advisor. I'm simply sharing with you my journey, and I hope it gives you some light, some energy, some inspiration, all that good stuff. Okay, so I'm trying to keep the light. I have a ring light. I'm trying to keep the glare off my glasses, which it means I'm going to be bobbing and weaving a little bit. On darker days, it's harder to keep the glare off my glasses. So you see me moving around. That's what's happening. Okay, so let's get into some Hero Ministry movement news. Oh, great. People are chiming in. Shout out to Gladys. I see you. Shout out to Nan. I see you. Okay, Gladys is in New Jersey. Cold and rainy. Isn't that wild that the climate in Nashville is the same as the climate in New York, New Jersey? I've been noticing that recently. I mean, it's 900 miles away, but the climate is the same. Anyway, I'm not going to get into a whole weather thing, but I've noticed that. Okay, and Linda's in Woodland Park, Colorado. Cool. So someone's actually watching early in the morning on Mountain Time. That's cool. And Nan's watching from Wyckoff, New Jersey. And Tim, there it is. Good morning. He's hitting us with the good morning, the coffee, and the water. Sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes the messages are blocked on my end. Anyway, I appreciate you guys letting me know where you're watching from. So today is day 310. It's a milestone day for me. I've been running every single day, every single consecutive day, at least a mile a day for now 310 days in a row. I should give myself fireworks. I'm gonna save the fireworks for later. So anyway, 310 days in a row, milestone day, and also anniversary day. For those of you that have been watching Sit with Reverend Melissa, you know that April 6th, 2 years ago, is the first day that she did what wasn't even called Sit with Reverend Melissa at the time. The first day that she came on live on Facebook and did what is now known as Sit. And I was right there with her. So it's my anniversary too. I didn't even realize that until yesterday. And when you watch today's episode of Sit with Reverend Melissa, we pre-recorded it yesterday, so I know exactly what's going to happen. You'll see us talk about the fact that I was there from the beginning, and you'll see me kind of realize that in real time. So make sure you watch that today. Okay, just a reminder on behalf of Reverend Melissa, this is Yes Day. You are saying yes to anything that comes up. You're saying yes. You're avoiding your impulse to say no as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else. You're saying yes to open yourself up to new possibilities today. Okay, so back to the lecture at hand. Day 310, milestone day for me, and anniversary day in terms of like co-anniversary day. Let's call it that. It's my co-anniversary day in terms of Sit with Rev. Melissa. So there's a couple things I want to talk about. I think this is going to be a special episode for obvious reasons. So yesterday, if you watched the show, you saw me discover that the shirt that I was running randomly for my run was the Hammer Down shirt. It was the shirt that I received for running the Hammer Down 5K here in Nashville, Tennessee. And that was my first race. This is actually the medal, if you want to call it medal, that we got for running that race. It's a cup, right? This is the Hammer Down 5K. This was my very first race. It was a 5K here in Nashville. I was doing DoorDash on a Friday night, and one of my pickups was at a barbecue restaurant, and there was a sign up on the wall advertising a 5K. And it said that 5K was the very next day. I was DoorDashing on a Friday. This 5K was early in the morning the next day. And I hemmed and I hawed and I went back and forth and I got up and I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And I ultimately did it. And I've told this story a bunch of times. I even told it again yesterday, but just a reminder, I showed up for this race in street clothes because I didn't have any running clothes there. I didn't have any. So I showed up in what I had. I showed up in cargo shorts and a t-shirt and church socks, looking like I just walked out of Kroger, like walked out of a grocery store or something. So much so that the volunteers who were there helping runners didn't even approach me as they approached the runners because they assumed that I was there for some other reason. So anyway, I was intimidated, but I did it anyway. And that was my FFT, as named by Brene Brown. You've heard Rev Mel talk about this a lot. FFT means freaking first time. Brene says it a little differently, but we are going to say freaking first time. The point is that first time is difficult. That first time is a challenge because you're not going to be good at it. Whatever it is, it's your first time. It's not going to go perfectly. So as you just heard me describe, my first race was intimidating for a number of reasons, most of which was I didn't look the part. Anyway, I did it, and yesterday I was like, okay, I have to run that race again because I have to see how far I've progressed since then. So yesterday I looked it up, and the Hammer Down 5K 2022 has already happened. It's already happened. I double checked my t-shirt, and the date on my t-shirt is May 15th. So I assumed that it would be at around that same time again. But I looked it up yesterday, and it happened this past Saturday. I just missed it this past Saturday. Literally, this past Saturday, I was running 10 miles instead of a 5K, which is 3 miles, in the same area. We actually saw some runners while we were running, and maybe that was them. Maybe that was the Hammer Down 5K people running past. I don't know. But even that is interesting, that was my first race. I ran a 5K, which is 3.1 miles. And here I am on the same day of that race running 10 miles. So that's pretty cool. But it made me decide to run that half marathon that I've been, quote unquote, training for. I'm not sure how it's connected in my head, but I went on the computer to register for the Hammer Down, like, oh, I'm going to do this race for sure to see how much I've progressed. And it's not available to me because it's already passed. So I'm definitely going to register for the half marathon. I'm already in the half marathon training group. Anyway, most of the people I'm running with are registered. So I'm going to go ahead and register for that race. And that will be my kind of full circle moment from running. Now, think about this. I said this yesterday, but it still boggles my mind. It hasn't even been a year since my first race. Like, my first race was May 15th, and it hasn't even been a year. And so if I'm going to run this half marathon in April, so that means I will have run a half marathon within a year. I will have run 2 half marathons within a year of my first race. So what's the point? The point is, you never know where the FFT is going to take you. freaking first time. Just do it and stick with it. And you never know where it's gonna take you. But you have to say yes. And you have to say yes repeatedly. Because I wanted to quit. I wanted to walk away. Matter of fact, I'll tell you this quick story about the hammer down. When I showed up in my street clothes and I walked up there and I finally got registered, I finally let them know that I was there to register. They gave me stuff like this at the beginning of the race. I'm like, what am I going to do with all this stuff? Like a t-shirt, cup, all these things. I'm like, what am I going to do with these things? And I saw that someone else was taking them back to his car. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. But when I got back to the car, I was like, ooh, I could just drive off. I'm not going to lie. I thought about it because I was so intimidated by everybody being in all their race garb. And I was like, I could just leave. But anyway, I did go back. And obviously, I started a whole journey there. So that's one FFT I wanted to talk about. I've got two more. I'm going to try to get these in quickly before I talk about some other things. So the pull quote is, you never know where saying yes will take you. You've got to be bold enough to say yes. So Friday night, I see a poster for a 5K the next morning, and I went. I said yes. And then I got there, and everyone else was in run clothes, and I still said yes. And I went through with it, and saying yes got me all the way through, and I actually did fairly decently in terms of my run time. I was 6th place for my group. Not bad for my very first race. Okay, next FFT. Next FFT is also related to running, and then I'll come back to my Sit with Rev Melissa FFT. So my second FFT for Yes Day, as declared by Reverend Melissa, was joining Black Men Run. Like, I'd never heard of this group before, and I only noticed it, I'm sure, because now I was running. At that point, I started running, and you know how it is. The reticular activating system pays more attention to the things that you're interested in. That's just the way that works, right? So I noticed this group on Facebook called Black Men Run, and I saw that they had runs every Saturday. And I noticed it like 2 or 3 times before. I was like, I'm just gonna go. The same way I went to the Hammer Down race. I'm just gonna go. You know, I just showed up. I didn't sign up. I didn't ask for permission. I just showed up. And the guys were like, who are you? I'm like, I'm Sekou. And they were like, we have another one, which is a whole sidebar. There's 2 Sekous in this group. But that's a whole other sidebar. I'm not used to that happening. Anyway, so I showed up, and that first day, they asked me what my pace was. I didn't know what that meant. And I was like, but I've been running, so it should be fine. I expected to do well. And I did not. I did not do well. I remember the first couple blocks was cool. We were like all running together. I did not understand yet at that time that they were just warming up those first couple blocks. So we just, running together. I was like, yeah, this is not bad. Man, we turned the corner onto Broadway in downtown Nashville, and I was the last one to turn the corner. I turned the corner, and they were just gone. I was like, where'd they go? And they were like dots in the distance. That was the first thing. And then I couldn't even finish the run. Oh, I'm going to tell you this other embarrassing story. So there was a guy who assigned himself the task of keeping an eye on me. So he would, he was way up ahead of me, one of those dots in the distance. But every once in a while, I would see him looking out. And he'd put his thumb up. Okay. And then he would run some more. And then a few blocks later, he'd look out and check on me, right? So what I would do, listen to this. What I would do is I would run on a sidewalk. And when there was a vehicle that blocked his view of me, I would stop. And I would put my hands on my knees and just rest. And I would stay behind that vehicle for as long as possible. And I would come jogging out from behind the vehicle like I'd been running the whole time. I did that all the way down Broadway. And then finally he turned a corner off Broadway, and I was like, that's it. I sat on the steps of a bank. I remember I sat on the steps of a Regions Bank on West End, and I just sat there, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to make it. And so what I did is I made my way back. I jogged back to the finish line. And these guys were so fast, they were already at the finish line, even though I didn't even finish the loop. I came straight back to the finish line, and they were already there, except for the guy who was waiting on me because he was still looking for me. So it was an FFT again. And it was, it was not the best. It was not the best. But I stuck with it though. I stuck with it. I came back the next Saturday, even though I was still embarrassed about the last Saturday. I came back, and I came back again, and I came back again. And through them, I learned about run streaks, which I'd never heard of before. And I started my first run streak in June. So that was after the Hammer Down race. My first race was in May, yes. And I started my first run streak in June, the following month. And look where I am now. Literally, look where I am now. Look at all these medals. I was on a Zoom recently, and someone was like, "Oh my God, all those your racing medals?" And I was like, "Yeah." And this is just pandemic. This is less than a year. It's not even a year. In May, it'll be a year. All this is less than a year. It's incredible. Plus the cup, right? So again, FFT, but you got to say yes. You got to say yes. And then you got to keep saying yes. Saying yes the first time isn't enough. You got to keep saying yes. Because I said yes to going out and meeting Black Men Run, but I could have gone home and never come back. And most often, I've seen lots of guys come in after me and then not come back. So most often people come, they check it out, they try it out, they don't come back. But I kept coming back, and I kept coming back, and I kept coming back. And now look where I am. Now there are men in Black Men Run here in Nashville. It's a national nonprofit, by the way, international nonprofit. There are men in Black Men Run here in Nashville who are now inspired by me. And I've only been in the group for about a year, but they're inspired by me because I've been doing this run streak consistently, persistently for 310 days. I've inspired some of them to start run streaks now. So again, it all started with saying yes. It all started with taking another FFT. Now, my third FFT, the one that is most relevant to today, is Sit with Rev Melissa. Okay, so before we even knew what a producer was, I was producing Rev Melissa. So, and let me explain this, because maybe you don't even know what a producer was, because it don't feel ashamed, because I didn't either. So in the beginning, I was the one who convinced Reverend Melissa to go on Facebook and say something, right? And I watched it as she did it. And then as soon as it was over, we got on the phone and we talked about it. And I was like, okay, so you could do this, you could do this, you could do that, you could do this. And I'm able to do that because I have worked for some celebrities, and I've learned some things being behind the scenes with celebrities, things that they do, things that they're told to do that I could pass on to her. So I passed those things on to her, and she was like, got it, done. And she moved on to do those things. And so that's producing. I didn't know that it was called producing at the time, but that's what I was doing. And then when she was invited to be a part of New Thought Media Network, she brought me along with her. Like I was her plus one as her producer, because when she joined the network, they were telling her to do these kinds of things for herself. And she was like, oh, I got a guy. I got a guy that does that for me. I need that. And they're like, yeah, you need that. She's like, yeah, I got that already. Let me bring him along. So she brought me along to New Thought Media Network. And then gradually we became aware of the fact that it's called being a producer. And specifically, it's called being a live stream producer, because this is a live stream. We're using the platform of StreamYard in this moment, but you can live stream on Facebook, YouTube, Zoom, all the different things that have emerged and gotten big during the pandemic. Live stream has become a huge thing, right? And I was very early in because I was producing Rev Melissa on Facebook and then producing her very early on New Thought Media Network. And so I learned how to produce, how to be a live stream producer in real time before I even knew to call it being a live stream producer. So why is that important? Number one, I said yes, because she had asked me to come along to New Thought Media Network, right? And there was no money involved. And so I could have said no, like, no, I gotta figure out my money situation. I gotta pursue these other opportunities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I said yes, right? So this is my third FFT for this episode of the show. I said yes. And I kept doing it despite the fact that there were many people around me that questioned it. Many people kept asking me, well, why are you doing that when it's not paying you any money? You're doing this thing 6 days a week. You're doing it so often, you're spending so much time there, and it's not paying you anything. And that has persisted all this time over the past 2 years. I've still got people who ask me about it. And here's the thing. You never know where an FFT will take you. You never know where saying yes will take you. So here's the big reveal. I'm gonna do a drum roll. Here we go. Here's the big reveal. All right, quick drum roll. Becoming a live stream producer for the New Thought Media Network for Reverend Melissa blessed me with a skill set very early in the advent of this career path, of this live stream career path, which has become very popular in the pandemic. So much so that I have now been tapped as a live stream producer by another company outside of New Thought Media Network. Another company was like, okay, we need a live stream producer. This guy has been doing live stream production for quite some time now. Let's use him. And so all of a sudden, I have not only another revenue stream, but a high income skill. And hopefully, if you've been watching the show, you've heard me talk about high income skills and how these are skills that you don't need a college degree for that can produce large sums of money if you leverage them correctly. So all of a sudden, what I was doing for free has become a high income skill. And now I have a client I have a live stream production client separate from New Thought Media Network. So my work here, my 2 years of doing production work here and moving in the rhythm of God's grace without any idea where this was leading has now led me to a lucrative opportunity. Like, you can't predict where the FFT will take you. You can't predict where the yes will take you. I couldn't have anticipated that. I couldn't have anticipated even the need for this career field, this field of expertise. But that's what's happened. So I've been kind of holding on to it for today to do a big reveal. And also I was holding on to it because I wanted to see if it was going to work out. And it seems to be working out well. Again, I'm working with another company now as a live stream producer. I'm still producing here. But those days when I was like pre-recording like every show for a week, those were the early days of me trying to get the feel of how to live stream produce for another client at the same time as I was doing this. And so once again, you never know. You never know where the FFT will take you. You never know where the yes will take you. And by the way, when I first got on this platform, this StreamYard platform, I was so confused. Like, you're just seeing a picture of me, right? But on my end, there's like 20 different things going on, including error messages right now, right? And you've got to manage all those things. But I've been doing it so long, for literally 2 years, that I've become used to it. And so when I started working for this other client, I could be very clear about what was working and what wasn't working. So again, the power of saying yes, the power of the FFT, and saying yes again. I can't emphasize that enough. You can't just say yes once. You got to say yes repeatedly. You got to do the FFT and then keep saying yes after that. And then you find out where to lead, right? And then you'll find out where to lead. If I had quit at any point, who knows if I would have been offered this position to live stream produce for another company. Who knows? But probably not. All right, so my alarm is going off. Let's see if we can wrap some things up. Oh, Tim, I appreciate you telling me that you're watching from Ohio. Yes, Linda, it is yes day. Yes. Looking the part impacts so much how we think about ourselves. And I said this yesterday. I'm gonna say it again. I literally looked around that lot for someone else who was wearing street clothes, and there was not one other person except the volunteers. And I had to push past it. And I ended up, as I said, placing well, but I really had to push past not looking the part. And you know what? Let me just get this sidebar. I'm moving in. What'd you say, Linda? I'm in the rhythm now. I'm in the flow now. So let me just go ahead and say this. I realize now that I have been purposefully not looking the part since then. I showed up that day for that first race, not looking the part. And I didn't like the way it felt, but then I committed to not looking the part ongoing because I didn't want any excuses. I didn't want to entertain any excuses. Like I didn't want to say, oh, I need to have the right clothes to do this. Oh, I need to have the right sneakers to do this. Oh, I need to have the right run watch to do this. I wanted to do it despite everything, despite all the obstacles, despite not having anything that would set me up for success. Those of you who have been watching the show now know that I ran most of my run streak, the vast majority of my run streak in shoes that were a size and a half too small. A size and a half too small. Would I recommend that? No, but it proves the point that I decided to be unstoppable. Unstoppable, that I was not going to let anything stop me from doing this, from pushing forward, not having the right sneakers, not having the right clothes, not having the right anything. I decided to be unstoppable in this endeavor, and I was successful. I've been successful in being unstoppable. And now as my kind of graduation gift to myself, as people who have run 7 marathons are telling me that they're impressed by me, as people who have been in Black Men Run for years are telling me that they're impressed by me, now that I've earned it, now I'm finally buying the clothes to look the part. I earned it though. And I can't tell you how many times I go out on runs with different groups of people and I see people who look the part and they got all the things and they stop every 5 feet. Every 5 feet. You know, like it's not about, it's looking the part can help you. It can give you a psychological boost, but you got to do the work. You got to do the work. And so I opted, on some level, I decided to do the work first and then look the part. And so now I am acquiring the paraphernalia, the things to look the part, but I've done the work first. Okay. So that was my sidebar. And I think I used my time. I was going to say something about abundance. We'll come back to abundance tomorrow. I got some things I want to say about it. We'll come back to it tomorrow. Thanks for the shout out, Tim. I appreciate it. Yeah, man, very cool how it all developed, especially because so many people asked me why I'm doing this for free, that it started to kind of gnaw at me a little bit. But I just kept saying, I am moving in the rhythm of God's grace. I'm moving in the rhythm of God's grace. I'm moving in the rhythm of God's grace. And it has all worked out. And by the way, in terms of salary, I got to look at my notes. I'm being paid at the rate of an aerospace engineer. You talk about a high income skill. I'm being paid at the rate of an aerospace engineer for what I do, for the skill set that I just developed in the past 2 years. You can't see that coming. You can't see that coming. You got to say yes to some things in order to find out what moving in the rhythm of God's grace looks like for you. So this is yes day. Say yes to something. Invite the universe to speak to you. Invite the universe to guide you. And as I'm talking, the clouds have lifted. Literally, it was all cloudy today. As I mentioned at the top of the show, it's all cloudy. Now it's all sunny. Birds are singing. All right. I appreciate the cosign, universe. Okay. So I'm going to close out. It's time. Thanks, Karen. It's time for prayer time right now at 10:15. And then it's time for Sit with Rev Melissa. It is pre-recorded, but we had a ball. You don't want to miss this episode. So check us out at 10:30. Sit with Rev Melissa. And then check me out here again tomorrow, where I'll be getting back to abundance and financial literacy. And I've got some things I want to talk about. So check me out here tomorrow. So keep doing. Be a hero. Be your own financial hero. And remember that now is better than perfect in terms of investing. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait till tomorrow. Start today. And as I close out, I didn't do the dice roll, so I'm just going to choose 6. I'm choosing 6. Take $6 out of your checking, move it to your savings. No days off for the dice roll challenge. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Later.